you're important, you're respected.
Aaron, was there a point over the last few months when you seriously considered retirement?
Yeah, that's definitely something I thought about. I continued to find joy and happiness in things off the field. However, there's still a big competitive hole in my body that I need to fill. I know I can still play, and I want to still play, and as long as I feel like I can give 100% to the team, then I should still play.
Do you expect to be a Packer next year?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I think things are in that direction haven't really changed. I just have to focus on this season, and I love this team. I love the fans, and the opportunity to play on Lambeau Field has been a dream come true. To be in my 17th season is really special. I'm just going to enjoy this season like I did last year, have the right perspective, and then make decisions at the end of the season.
Aaron Rodgers was as raw and real as we have ever seen a Hall of Fame caliber athlete. He spoke for 30 minutes off the cup, yet he was thoughtful and prepared with his comments. You can see them all online. But Stephen A. Smith, you weren't on when this happened, and I was dying to hear your reaction.
I was proud of him. I really, really was, because it was consistent with what I've been saying for over a year. The feelings that he expressed, that he talked about, were instigated with things that transpired in February in the aftermath of them losing in another NFC Championship game. There were actually things that took place seasons prior to that. He didn't feel the need to elaborate on that, but I know for a fact that those things happened, and the manner in which he described the treatment that he received was consistent with what had transpired years earlier. And the point is, enough was enough. Now, he gave an abundance of names. And if you look at Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, there's no denying that for the most part, some of the players that Aaron Rodgers threw out there, Max Amali and, Randall Cobb and others, we know that for the most part, Gutekunst did the right thing. There were a couple of misses, no question about it. But nevertheless, for the most part, he made the right decisions. What people were not getting still, even after listening to Aaron Rodgers, he wasn't talking about it in a literal sense. Oh, I wanted them to do this and they didn't do that. I wanted them to make this move and they let these guys go. He talked about the respect, the treatment of players by the organization. And he used those guys to crystallize what is a huge, huge problem with the Green Bay Packers organization. And they got their spin doctors, leaking information to folks in the media. This is not true. And, damn right, we got a problem with it, but we're going to let it slide because we don't want to make this bigger than what it is. No. Where the hell is smoke this fire? Or as my favorite saying is, I have my own saying. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. Okay? It's not a damn mongoose. You don't mention all those players. You don't get that specific with the general manager and the president and everybody else in the building, basically calling them out with one detail after another to crystallize a bigger point, and you making that up. This is what his problem was. And so when people look at him and they say, let's go down a list of players that Aaron Rodgers mentioned because Green Bay wasn't wrong about this. No, you're missing the point. It's not about whether they were right or wrong. It's how they treated him when he wanted to simply have discussions, when he wanted to be involved, when he wanted to have some input. I was personally told that one year Aaron Rodgers walked into their office. This is before Gutekunst was the general manager. Walked into their office, the Ted Thompsons and the Mark Murphys of the world, both were there. And they looked at him and said, you play, we run this organization, get the hell up out of here. They were that dismissive of him. They were that disrespectful of him. Now, you take that into consideration and ask yourself, do you tolerate that if you are that kind of a talent, that kind of a star, and you make that kind of contribution? This is a lesson for all of corporate America. This ain't just the Green Bay Packers. This isn't just the NFL. It's applicable to the NBA. It's applicable to Major League Baseball. It's applicable to ESPN and Fox and CBS and everybody else. It's applicable to Wall Street. It's applicable to anybody. When you have superstars and you tell them to kick rocks, that your opinion doesn't matter, the second they get an opportunity to let you know, they sick of your ass. They don't want anything to do with you. They're going to do it because you have summarily dismissed them. You don't do that. That's what the Packers did. When people look at their literal moves, you're missing the point. We can look at Gutekunst, we can look at Matt LaFleur, we can look at Mark Murphy, and we can look at abundance of decisions that the Packers organization has made and say, you know what, it makes perfect sense. Makes understandable sense. Okay, now get to us how you couldn't sit down and say, come here, Aaron. We love you, we respect you. This is what we're thinking. Here's why. Take a look at this. As opposed to saying, shut up and play. And all of those folks, when you saw social justice issues and stuff like that, which have absolutely nothing to do with this instance, but the parallel was, particularly in the sports world, how you had people who were being summarily dismissed and not treated with the respect that they had earned. And Aaron Rodgers said, I've been in this organization for a while. I've carried the load. I've achieved this. I'm a multiple-time MVP. I'm a Super Bowl champion. And I thought that with my years of service, I would at least be treated with some respect. That is the issue. And that's what everybody needs to remember. There's a certain way to treat people who produce for you. They didn't do that for him.
And Rodgers said, with some outliers. He's obviously an outlier.
Yeah.
A couple things.
Sure.
First of all, careful sending that message, because remember the honeymooners, Ralph Cramden, when Ed told him, you march into your boss's office and you tell him.
That's true. That's one of my favorite episodes. That's one of my favorite
He lost his job that day. Yeah, right. You better be Aaron Rodgers.
You better be Aaron Rodgers.
You can't be Ralph Cramden.
You can't just be one. You can't be just
a top producer, regardless of the realm.
The other thing is, there's a large cash reward for anyone who can train a mongoose to walk and quack like a duck. If you can do that, I'll give you a large cash reward.
There we go.
Okay, here are 2 points for real. And you weren't on the show when I made these points, so I want to say them again. Tom Brady blazed the trail here, Stephen A., because it's not like Aaron Rodgers just started feeling this way. And I got to give Brady credit for his leadership and decision-making as a quarterback. That's how he's able to compete with guys like Rodgers and Mahomes, who are much more talented. Brady's decision when he was like, I'm reducing what you'd have to pay me so that you can surround me with better talent. You don't know how to spend my money. What are you doing? Like, I don't have receivers, and you can't draft, right? Then he makes the decision, I'm not going to let them dictate the end of my tenure with the Patriots. I'm going to dictate the end of my tenure with the Patriots. Rodgers saw that, obviously saw that, and said the same, like, look what they did to Brett Favre. I'm not going to let them dictate the end of my Packers career like they did to Brett Favre. I'm going to be the guy making the decisions, right? That was Tom Brady blazing a trail and Aaron Rodgers following. I got to tip my cap to Brady because you could see even with the candor that Brady speaks now in public, Rodgers is doing that at the press conference too. I got to tip the cap to Brady. And the other thing is, Stephen A., what you're discussing, Gladwell in one of his books, I think it was Blink, talks about
I told you the other day, you didn't remember that his first name was Malcolm.
I did. Malcolm Gladwell. No, I know his name is Malcolm Gladwell. I don't remember the name of the book.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, because he has a whole series of them, like, you know. Okay. But Blink, I think this one
I read
was.
Blink.
Yeah, so did I. And he talks about malpractice lawsuits with doctors and how they're not correlated as much with result as they are with bedside manner.